Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 7th of January 2019. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few charts, as always, the usual stuff. Of course, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. You're all feeling relaxed and energized. But before we start looking at the charts, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the CAC40, so the French index. Certainly, also as some other big indices, last Friday it got a nice boost here to the upside. So managed to end up the week and the day around this little area of resistance, which previously acted as a nice area of support. So now this is, like I said, this is going to be the important level that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, the 47.35 zone, approximately there. You can see that last time it was tested here on the 31st of December and also tested on the 10th of December. So like I said, this is going to be that important area that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, because a nice good move above this and eventually a nice good move above the 21 EMA here shown as the yellow line could of course it could open the path to slightly higher levels. This is where we will aim for the 48.05 48.06 area, approximately there. But to be honest, this could be just a little pit stop here for this index, because we do have a much better area of resistance, potential resistance here, which is near the 48.96 zone, which you can see that acted as a nice area of support here back on the 13th of December, and also acted as good support back in November here on the 20th of November and also on the 26th of October. So let me just quickly highlight that for our future reference here. But to be honest, this level could be a good possibility for a test, could be good possibility where the index could travel, but of course if this gets a nice push away from the 47.35 zone, so keep your eyes on this one first, and like I said, then keep an eye on this little obstacle here around the 48.0605, approximately there. So let's see how that performs, how that plays out. But again, like I said, if this actually continues to travel further up here, there is a good chance that we could see maybe a retest of this 48.96 level. Certainly slightly above that, we do have some good other areas of potential resistance as well, which for example is this high of the 13th of December, and that was approximately around the 49.35 zone as well. And you could in a way keep your eyes on that one just in case this pushes higher a little bit. But again, first probably let's try to go slowly, and the 48.96 level, and also given the fact that it's coinciding with the 50 EMA here shown as the red line, so that's why it's also becoming quite an interesting potential area of resistance. On the downside, well, for us to get more comfortable with lower levels, in a way, of course, we would need to wait until this, for example, reverses back down and drops below the 46.10 zone, which was marked here by the lows of last week. But if that doesn't hold, well, the index might as well go and test the December lows, which were around the 45.55 zone, approximately there. So of course, if that doesn't hold, I mean, the index could start forming lower lows and we could see further decline here. But for now, guys, judging by the picture that we're seeing here, there is a good chance that we could see maybe a bit of an upside here, especially if we're going to get a move above the 47.35. So that's why keep a close eye on this little potential, or should I say potential, but this little area right here around this level, the 47.35. Jumping into gold. Gold, of course, last Friday had a bit of a decline here, managed to test the area around the 1284, of course managed to break below it and managed to drop near the 1277, but quickly kind of got back and closed the day above the 1284. Certainly this, of course, it raises a bit of concerns here. On one hand, basically it could travel further up here because it got held by the 1284, but in order to kind of see higher levels, probably here we're going to play a bit of a cautious game, and we're going to wait until this drives further up here and decides to break above the 1298 area, which was near the highs of last week. So the 1298.50 approximately there, that was the high of last week. So a nice good pop above this could of course send this commodity a little bit higher. We do have this highlighted dashed, like thicker dashed line here around the 1302.50, which was the opening price of 2018, but slightly above that we do have another good potential area of resistance around the 1308. So keep your eyes on that one, but again, let's not exclude a possibility of this one seeing a move back down here, maybe a bit of a correction to the downside, at least towards this very short-term upside support line. In a way, somebody could say maybe a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless, still we're going to keep a close eye on it. And that was the line that was running from the 28th of November. So this upside line could also provide good support. We could maybe even actually see something like this. Let me just quickly draw this for our future reference. So in a way, we could see maybe a drop back down below the 1284, and if we do see something like that, then yep, we could see maybe a bit of more retracement where we could test this upside support line, and if that fails to get broken, then yep, we could see maybe a reversal and then push back up here again. So yep, keep your eyes on that one. On the downside, well, I mean, of course, it's a bit of a tricky one for the downside, but if we see a drop below the 1266 zone, certainly you could in a way start aiming for this little other also a bit of a tentative upside support line, but to be honest, it's probably could be just seen as just a little stop here, because we do have some good potential areas of support near the 1253 or even 1251, around this little area. So this could also play out. So for now, guys, certainly be very cautious. On the one hand, like I said, it is trying to push higher. The only problem is that it could struggle to overcome this 1298 level, so maybe a bit of correction could be a bit healthy for this commodity. Could be healthy, and we could see maybe a bit of decline, and then if that fails to break here, we could see more bulls jumping in and pushing this precious metal higher. So for now, be very careful. If this continues to travel higher, yep, keep an eye on the last week's highs. A nice good break above last week's highs could open the path towards higher levels, but if this decides to reverse back down and drops below the 1284, then keep your eyes on this little short-term upside support line. Looking at Bitcoin, certainly this one's having a nice pop here, especially, well, yesterday it had a nice pop to the upside, and actually for this one, let me just jump into the 4-hour chart, and it'll be much more clear. So you can see that I was talking about this level here around the 3920 zone, so it managed to break that area here of resistance and pushed higher. Certainly, of course, this could be seen as a bit of a flag here. So if we actually even get a retracement, and if it falls to, let's say, to drop below this pivot here around the 3960 zone, so we could see maybe a rebound and a push back up, where we could then aim for the 4240 zone approximately there. Let me just quickly put this an arrow here for a future reference as well. So we could see something like this, basically, where the crypto could travel a little bit lower, and then we could see maybe another push towards the 4240 zone, which was marked here by the highs of the 24th of December, and so good potential area of resistance here. But if that doesn't hold, further acceleration to the upside could be possible. 4430 level, that could be on our radar, but for now, of course, let's go step by step. Let's see how this performs. Even if it drops a little bit lower than the pivot here. We keep an eye on this little, like I said, this potential area. Well, previously acting as resistance. Now it could play out as nice support. This level around the 39.20. If this continues to hold, we could see, that rebound, the long-awaited rebound again to the upside, and we could see further push higher. But for now, it's stuck here. Certainly, if this starts dropping below the 39.20 zone, be very careful. Because we could see maybe a slide lower, but for better confirmation of the downside, we could see this little short-term upside support line here taken from the lows of the 27th of December, and a break below that could confirm a potential move further down, maybe even towards the 35.70, which was marked here by the lows of the same 27th of December. But if that doesn't hold, well, I mean, let's probably start looking at the lows of December in general. So the lowest point of December was around the 31.40 level, and of course depends which exchange are you trading Bitcoin, because this one I'm looking at Coinbase here. So the lowest point of December is near the 31.40, so keep your eyes on that one. But then again, I will repeat myself, for the downside we need to see a drop below the short-term upside support line initially, and then of course drop below the 35.70, so keep your eyes on that one. Looking at a few pairs now, so GBPUSD, looking at the 4-hour chart, it continues to climb higher. Certainly, of course, the momentum for now is to the upside, and also looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see that it crossed the 200 EMA, so it's now trying to push higher. Certainly, don't kind of focus on that too much. I mean, yes, on one hand, it could be seen as a positive for the pair, but what I really wanted to show you guys is this, of course, looking at this daily chart. And if we draw something like this, like a downside resistance line, a bit of a tentative one, of course, I mean, because it's capturing only these two highs, but still something for you guys to keep in mind. A nice good push here higher certainly could test this downside resistance line, and but if it fails to hold the rate down, certainly we'll start looking at these 128.10 and the 128.40 levels as potential breaking points. If these, of course, get broken, then yep, we'll start aiming higher and potentially aim for the 130 zone, the psychological 130 again. So, but for now, guys, be very careful. Even though yes, it seems that it wants to travel a little bit higher, but I mean, of course, you can see that on this daily chart, it's still below this 50 EMA. So in a way, this could provide some sort of resistance as well initially. So basically, if it fails to kind of move higher above this, then maybe we could see a bit of a correction here to the downside. Certainly we could draw something like this, a short-term upside support line, ignoring this little spike, or should I say not little but big spike that we had here on the 3rd of January. So we could ignore that, and we could draw this little short-term upside support line. So this also could provide some support if this pair decides to reverse back down. So yep, we'll aim for the December lows that we saw here around the 124.75, or actually if this decides to break this long-term upside, or should I say medium-term downside resistance line, for us to get comfortable, probably we'll look at 128.40 level, and then a nice good break above that could send this pair a little bit higher. So for now, probably be very careful with this one. It is a very interesting one, but like I said, anything can happen. Or in a way, also don't exclude the scenario where, for example, for the whole of this week, we could end up just moving sideways here and coiling up in this little formation, and then probably going into next week, because the next week should be a bit more eventful for the British currency, and then we could see maybe a pop higher. But again, this is just an idea. Still, we could see maybe a pop this week as well. But if, like I said, if getting closer to Thursday, we're just going to continue trading here, then yep, be very careful. Probably we might end up the week in this little area. But again, like I said, this is just an idea, so you kind of keep an eye on these little these lines here, the downside resistance line and the short-term upside support line. And the last pair I want to quickly touch on, and that's euro dollar. Euro dollar continues to push higher. I was talking about this one last week, and basically this is the level that I was telling you guys to keep an eye on, the 114.25. You can see already today it managed to test that, even actually managed to slightly break that level, but quickly reversed back down, and now it's still trading below the 114.25. So this level is going to become our important level to watch, especially for today. If we do get a nice push above the 114.25, well, brace yourselves. We could probably continue pushing higher initially, of course, looking at the little pit stop near the 114.65, or even, and then probably going higher towards the 115, the psychological 115 level. So, but then again, for us to kind of consider these higher levels, we need to get a nice good break and a strong good move above the 114.25 level. On the downside, again, you can see the pair is still trading above this upside support line. In a way, it's kind of becoming a bit of a tentative, because we can see that it's having these breaks here, but quickly kind of manages to get back above it. So on one hand, it's kind of an important line here, because it's still showing the direction where the pair is moving towards to, but still kind of, you can see that how it's playing out here, how quickly the pair is trying to get back above it. Certainly you could draw a new one here, which is this one right there, but it's, to be honest, I mean, it could be as something interesting as well, but the only problem is that it's not as probably interesting, let's put it that way, as the one that I just drawn here initially. So keep your eyes on that one. In order for us to, let's say, consider moves lower here, we would probably need to see a drop below this little line here near the 113.40. A nice good drop below this could send the pair much lower here, where we could then aim for the 113.05 or the 112.70. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. But for now, of course, the downside is just slightly off the table, and we are keeping a close eye on the 114.25. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me later on, maybe my traders tea time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a fantastic trading day, and bye for now.